Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very, very much for watching. It's going to be a fantastic, fantastic live stream. Hit subscribe right now. We are on our way to 120,000 subscribers. And consider this channel a detox to the media spin propaganda. And I use reputable sources. I use the actual Washington Post articles, CNN, all Hamilton 68 approved, everything, approved by the Democratic Party, and we analyze all this information. And the Shakespearean phrase, thou doth protest too much. When people are going absolutely bonkers over security clearances for former intelligence officials, you know that you're over the mark. Trump is over the target. He's doing the right thing. And I appreciate, if you didn't get any notification, go ahead and share this segment. But to my super chat, thank you so very much. Let's go ahead and read this. So the Washington Post today, there's an article from Mark Thiessen stating that Brennan is a hack. Trump shouldn't have made him a hero. Why would John Brennan be viewed as a hero by anybody? So let's read this with all due respect to the author. Brennan is a hack. Trump shouldn't have made him a hero. Well, nobody thinks he's a hero. I don't even believe Democrats think he's a hero. They're just using everybody from Stormy Daniels to John Brennan to hurt Trump. They don't really care, Omarosa. They don't care who they're in bed with as long as it hurts Trump. That's the thing with Democrats. They don't really have a value system. They don't care. It could be James Comey one day. It could be Michael Cohen the other day. It really doesn't matter. They hated they loved Comey, then they hated him, then they loved him. They hated Cohen, then they loved him kind of. They hated Omarosa, then now they love her. It really is just whatever they're feeling at the moment. They have zero, long-term strategy other than, please, let's just hurt Trump any way we can. So let's go ahead and start. Brennan is a hack. Trump shouldn't. So all of this is basically to save the security clearances of people who don't deserve them. There's zero reason why anyone outside the United States government, if you're not in the United States government, you shouldn't have access to classified intelligence. The view that, the current officials might call officials who have been in government. That's ridiculous. It's like a corporation changing CEOs. Each administration has a different vantage point on foreign policy. And you're not going to find, I wonder how many people John Brennan called to speak about whether or not he should push the Steele dossier to frame Trump and everyone else. He didn't call anyone. He didn't even inform Trump or Obama. He only spoke to Harry Reid. And the Steele dossier, now BuzzFeed is suing the DNC. And everyone is suing Christopher Steele and Fusion. And the whole thing was based on gossip and hearsay. Meanwhile, there's evidence of Clinton committing crimes. And she didn't commit crimes. And today they're like, oh my God, Michael Cohen deleted a tweet of Clinton serving jail time. Oh my God, look at the irony. No, the irony, there's a little bit of irony there. Yeah, sure. But Clinton actually committed crimes that were linked to national security. She transferred top secret intelligence from Cyprian, Jacobson's gifts and other secure locations. He had a medallion taxi empire, and his taxi medallions went kaput. And he did a whole bunch of other stuff that had nothing to do with Trump Russia. But if you didn't get notifications, please go ahead and hit share. Let people know about this live stream. We have over 100 right now. Greatly appreciated. But let's go ahead and read this. So Brennan is a hack. Trump shouldn't have made him a hero. Many in the intelligence community have been quietly dismayed by the hyperbolic partisan behavior of former CIA Director John Brennan since Donald Trump took office. So it starts off by saying, well, gosh, these people aren't really that bad. There's a lot of people who disagree with Brennan. Of course, they're nowhere to be found. But by revoking Brennan's security clearance, President Trump has managed to turn Brennan from an embarrassment into a martyr. The very fact that anyone would view Brennan as a martyr is a big problem. You have people who've been coddled. These people utilize their security clearances for employment, and it should simply be enough that you are a former official. It should simply be enough that you are a former State Department or NSA or CIA or whatever official. You don't need to have access to current government documents. That makes no sense at all, and it's actually a security risk. You have no idea of the financial, emotional state, the political ambitions. You have no idea. These are security risks. They're at the targets of espionage too. And they say, well, they can't just walk in. They have to, get an appointment. Fine, then give them the security clearance then and there if they need to be spoken to. The response to Trump's actions has been like the scene in the 1960 movie Spartacus, when a Roman general announces to a group of rebel slaves that they will be spared the punishment of a crucifixion, but only if they turn in Spartacus, the leader of the revolt. One by one, the slaves stand up and shout, "I am Spartacus." So only Democrats, and no offense to the author is a very prestigious, renowned individual, but only the Washington Post or Democrats or people on the left would view this as this moment where it's like the Braveheart Spartacus, like, oh my God, we're standing up to the ultimate evil. John Brennan helped create a myth called Trump Russia. Tamara Friedman. H.A., thanks for all you do. Love y'all. Keeping POTUS and all the good people in prayer. We have a crime cabal on our hands, and we will win. Absolutely. We will absolutely win. And Tamara Friedman, thank you so very much. We're pretty much winning every day. Democrats have lost. The Republicans have won 8 out of 11 special elections. And 8 out of 10 where they're actually facing a Democratic challengers. Oh, sorry. Republicans have won 8 out of 10. And it's only 8 out of 11 because the 11th is the California district that it was just Democrat versus Democrat. Papa D, in my next life, I'm coming back as Bruce Allen Dershowitz bad. Still working on Papa D. Tamara Friedman, thank you as always, Tamara Friedman. Thank you. Thank you as always, Tamara Friedman. Yeah, I mean, we are winning. And Democrats don't realize that they cheat Bernie Sanders. Then they go ahead and they pretend to care about single payer, which isn't even feasible economically or politically. But they do that because they throw a little olive branch at the progressives and say, oh, well, we still care about you. Come vote for us. Oops, golly gee, we're not going to focus on that anymore. But you still got to vote for us because Trump is evil. And then it's, oh my God, Russia. Then it's, oh my God, security clearances. Now we're getting to that in a second. So thank you again, Tamara. So then it goes on. The response to Trump's, okay, as former CIA Director Michael Hayden, who is hilarious, Hayden points out, Hayden is the type of guy who speaks like this. If you've listened to Michael Hayden, he's an egghead. He's the type of guy who is so smart. He likes to work from inductive or deductive reasoning or whatever reasoning he's talking about. And the original sin was owning the server. See, the original sin was owning the server. Thank you, Mr. Egghead. And meanwhile, they're all like, yeah, the server was really bad. They know very well it was hacked. They know very well top secret intelligence was taken from it, but they don't care. They're focusing on Michael Cohen's failed taxi empire and Manafort's ostrich jacket. This is what counts to them. So that's where we're at. It's completely topsy-turvy. But anyway, as former CIA Director Michael Hayden has pointed out, a similar scene is playing out today in the intelligence community. Who cares? It's not a community. It's at most 20 top senior level people, and then 50 or 60, or maybe 50 people who are like barnacles, and like oh my God, I really know what's great for the country. Really, when's the last time you prevented a catastrophe or you saved American lives? When's the last time the only person to speak out, the only person to truly speak out against Hillary Clinton was General Michael Flynn, and they went after him. And I cited General Michael Flynn when I was on MSNBC in 2016. The only person to have the courage, and I kept citing General Michael Flynn in my Huffington Post and Salon articles, the only person to have the courage, and they went after him, they framed him, and he didn't even lie, and they said he lied to the FBI. And even James Comey's like, yeah, he didn't lie. So they get people online for the FBI. They get people on taxi issues. They get taxi medallions. They get people on ostrich skin jackets. But Trump, Russia, nothing. Everything else, nothing. So Tamara Friedman, thank you again. And it's so sad, so pathetic. So the first TL I am Spartacus was retired Admiral William H. McRaven, former head of U.S. Joint Special Operations Command, who declared in a post-op-ed, I would consider it an honor if you would revoke my security clearance as well. He should have done it. Trump should have done it. It literally says, and it wouldn't have been, I consider it an honor if you would revoke my security clearance as well. So you're the U.S. Joint Special Operations Command. You should probably, I guess, be nonpartisan, but you're going to stick up for your guy, Brennan, who is not only hyper-partisan, but so far up Hillary's derriere that it's like he needs scuba gear. So I can add my name to the list of men and women who have spoken up against your presidency. You actually don't need your security clearance to speak up against anyone's presidency. This is the funny thing. Like, nobody's being censored here. Censorship is from the left to the right, not from the right to the left. You can say whatever you want to say. But if you've been implicated in criminal behavior, I don't know, fabricating an entire investigation simply out of political purpose, simply for a political purpose, talk about influencing the election. That's what they do. Papa D, kangaroos now outnumber Aussies. Kangaroo skin import back on. Good news for the quality of baseball cleats industry. All right. I can tell you, if anyone wore kangaroo skin baseball cleats, which sounds okay to me, but it would be like the biggest outcry. They would, oh my God, it would be protest, self-immolation, hunger strikes. It would be the end of humanity. But let's go ahead and continue. Thank you, Papa D, as always. They were soon joined by 60 former CIA officers. These CIA officers are funny. Were actually names of CIA agents on Clinton's server that we know was hacked by a foreign entity, according to Louis Gomer and the Inspector General report that he cited. Charles McAuliffe was one of the Inspector Generals that originally informed the whole planet that Hillary had a server outside the United States government. So it's like the whole thing's very bizarre. Who signed a letter of their own and released it Friday evening, declaring they were Spartacus. Okay, not really. This is an intelligence community that doesn't care that Hillary Clinton had you're pretty much worthless in the United States intelligence community if you're okay with Clinton having a private, unencrypted server outside the United States government without NSA or Obama's knowledge. You're pretty much worthless, or you're complicit. Either way, you're a danger to national security, or at best, You're a hindrance to protecting the country. If you don't have the guts to speak up about an overt, egregious crime, but you're just silent about you're silent about a Christian saucier being ripped away from his family because he took a picture, you have a problem. These people were supposed to, like, when are we supposed to, since when do we have to kiss the behinds of CIA officials? Up until this year, Democrats were like, why did you spy on us? And Brennan's like, I didn't spy on you. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. They're like the biggest liars on the planet. They have zero credibility. They haven't been right about anything from the Gulf of Tonkin to WMD to the Arab Spring to 9/11 to Russian interference, apparently, quote unquote interference. So WMD, Gulf of Tonkin, 9/11. I mean, it's just like you can go on and on. What name a time in history, in U.S. history, where I'm not smearing anyone on Medicare. It's $1 trillion, and Bernie it takes care of 44 million people, and then Bernie said at 1.3 trillion will take care of 320 million. It's the math doesn't add up. The Marqueta study that was quoted as 10 years down the road of savings says that you would have to over double personal and corporate income taxes, which would tank the economy. And then the Marqueta study said it still wouldn't be assured of appropriate health care. The current system right now, the federal budget. But the question, okay, so 3 trillion a year, that's not accurate to say, well, how much are Americans spending now? Because not all Americans want single payer. See, okay, so real quick, one of my amazing subscribers has asked a question. So here's my take. What Americans are spending now, not all Americans want single payer, number one. Even Democrats, establishment Democrats don't. Number two, what all Americans are spending does not equate to what the federal government will spend. That's a different story. Medicare for all is the federal government providing healthcare for everyone. Right now, we spend 1.1 trillion, and it doesn't take care of 320 million people. Even if you go 1.3 trillion, which is one of Bernie's estimates, or 2.5 trillion, it's not going to get to 320 million people. Then you have out-of-pocket costs. If it's Medicare for all, there's $5,000 to $7,000 out of pocket. It's not free. It's $5,000 to $7,000 a year. So then, when people say Medicare for all, they're saying that they're going to spend $5,000 to $7,000 a year. That's the issue. Medical insurance, yeah, but people have different. No, Medicare, $5,000 to $7,000 on Medicare. That's Medicare out of pocket. Now, medical insurance, people have different insurance plans. So anyway, getting back to this. The Marqueta study, the Koch brothers study that was cited by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, it actually says it would over double the personal and corporate income tax. So 70% tax for people making over 200 or over 150. No, over 150. It would be 48 on the current tax bracket, 48 to 50% to 70% tax. Okay, that's ain't going to happen, I don't think, ever. But anyway, that's the whole story. I've spoken a lot about that. They were soon joined by 60 former CIA officers who signed a letter of their own and released it Friday evening to declare they were Spartacus. Our signatures below do not necessarily mean that we concur with the opinions expressed by former Director Brennan or the way in which he expressed them. But the country will be weakened if there is political litmus test applied before seasoned experts are allowed to share their views. you can share your views, and the seasoned experts, that's a judgment that's up for debate. The Democratic Party seasoned expert is the average citizen's hack, partisan hack. You don't need your security clearance. People derive power, prestige from security clearances outside the United States government. And by the way, if they're not in the United States government, why on earth would they have access? Again, you have no idea a person's economic, political, emotional state after they leave the government. They're a security risk. They're a risk to be targeted by foreign spies if they have access to classified intelligence. So it's not. There's no reason for these people to have and to just. So it's so transparent. They're trying to go ahead and say, "Oh, well, you're taking a courtesy away from us just for speaking out." Yeah, it's a courtesy. It's a courtesy. They're taking a courtesy away. That's it. A courtesy. And I agree with you, Mullet Baby 01. All former CIA and FBI agents should be banned from lobbying or working for think tanks for 5 or more years. Absolutely. Absolutely. You shouldn't be able to go ahead and take what you know from the United States government and then monetize it right away. Because the whole point is, if you want to keep, there's this immense push to keep classified intelligence secret. Zero respect for whistleblowers. And see, the difference here is that, like, Julian Assange, for example, is a hero who publishes whistleblowers, he sheds a light on corruption, sheds a light on dangerous, corrupt, illegal behavior hidden from the American public, especially by the Washington Post and the New York Times, because they're not going to go ahead and publish what Assange publishes because they're too, frightened of political retribution. And they're going ahead oftentimes and just pushing Alexander M. Gonzalez, not Medicare. How much does America spend on private insurance a year? But I respectfully ask, what does that have to do with Medicare for all? There are millions of people who do not want Medicare for all. There are millions of people who want to spend on private insurance. If you have a plan that's $200 or $300 or $400 or $75 a month, if you have a plan, for example, in terms of private insurance, and you pay less than the $7,000 that people pay out of pocket in Medicare currently, you're saving money. You don't want Medicare for all if Medicare for all entails what Medicare recipients currently pay. See, the whole point, people think Medicare for all is going to be completely free, but Medicare right now is not free. They're paying $5,000 to $7,000 out of pocket. The out-of-pocket maximum for the ACA is $7,000 now. So it's like you're looking at over $500 a month. So, I mean, that's my point. But anyway. Thank you, Alexander M. Gonzalez. I respectfully disagree, and I think that you're awesome, and I respect your passion. Democrats, by the way, are not serious, and they'll never, ever, ever go along with it because it would mean over doubling of taxes. So Democrats are lying, and they're just basically doing the same thing with progressives and saying, "Oh, we'll do this for you." And they're not going to do it. Democrats will not run. They're already running on no borders and what else? Impeach Trump. It's not going to work. We love the intelligence community. That's like Russia. It's like by Tuesday, the number of signatories had grown to 177. So what? Who cares? This is not like, it doesn't matter if 400 or 500 intelligence officials. These people are not credited with keeping us safe. These people did not inform anyone of impending calamities. Give me like 20, 30, 40 intelligence officials who have informed people of impending catastrophe. just go ahead, and if you can go ahead and, just like group insurance, the more people, the less it costs. So respectfully disagree with you. That's fine. But Alexander M. Gonzalez, Alexander, let's say you're right, but there are going to be Republicans who will say, heck no. And there'll be corporate Democrats who say, heck no. Then there'll be people who just be like, look, I like what I'm paying right now, $100 a month or $75 a month. So they'll say, heck no. You need everyone to think the same for that, and then the Medicare for all for 320 million people, according to Markakis, is doubling. So I'm sorry for people who don't want to hear me talk about this, but doubling. So what is the current? Okay, so look, just Alexander, doubling the current tax brackets. Okay, so current tax brackets. 15%, 9,000 to 37,000. You're now taxed 30%. That's a lot of money if you're making under 37,000. 37,000 to 91,000, you're taxed 50% of your income. Half goes to Uncle Sam. Do you want half your income if you're making under 91 grand? No. 91 to 191. This is all single, 60%. 60%. 60%. Okay, this is bankrate.com. Okay, and then it's 66%, close to 70% of your income if you're making over 190. So, but people making 91 to 191,000. Okay, let's say middle class Americans, 91 to 191,000, or households. Let's say households making 50. You want to say 50 to 131,000. That would be, it's 25% tax rate. Now that would be 50. Half your money goes to Uncle Sam. Half your money. People that will not fly. And so, they just don't want their taxes double. And then you get to, 35% from 33% to from 191 to 416. If you're single, that would be 66% tax. And close to 60% if you make over 91 to 191,000. 60% tax or 56% tax. But it's like, you can go on forever. Yeah, but let's say that's the case, Alexander M. Gonzalez, you still have double taxes, double the tax rate. And when people, and the rebuttal is, well, yeah, but people are dying because they don't have access. The people, and this is horrible, are dying because they can't afford the out-of-pocket expenses. You're going to have out-of-pocket expenses with Medicare for all, just like you have out-of-pocket expenses for Obama, the ACA. The ACA is $7,000 out of pocket. But see, these discussions are not, it's always like on the left, like you have pundits that like virtue signals, like, oh my God, look at every industrialized nation. Yeah, we have 320 million people. They know France has 60 million, or 50 to 60 million. Different, very different. So anyway, Note the pains the writers of both letters took to distance themselves from both the substance and style of Brennan's attacks on Trump. Who cares? Brennan's conduct has been deeply controversial in intelligence circles. Who cares? After the department fired former FBI Director Andrew McCabe, lying under oath, Brennan lashed out at Trump. So, at the end, but most egregious of all, Brennan accused Trump of treason. That was both outrageous and absurd. Yes, even some former officials deeply concerned by Trump's policies and behavior. Oh my goodness, meeting Kim Jong-un, good economy, what a horrible, not engaging in regime changes like Obama. Oh, what a horrible behavior. Still no evidence of Russia collusion, still no evidence that Russia interfered in the election. We don't know how many votes were altered. The one thing I always heard, well, how many votes were altered? People voted for Clinton. Yeah, that was actual interference. You had W. Wasserman Schultz actually leave. But it's not just you'll get less on your return. It's that 50% to 70% tax will decimate people. It'll decimate the economy. It'll grind to a halt. GDP will be negative. We'll have a recession. Just instant tax over doubling is insufficient, it said in the Mercatus study. Now I'm using the Mercatus study. This is the Koch brothers study that was cited by Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. It's 10 years if we survive. If the economy survives that long, you get a savings. But it's literally said over doubling does not would not be sufficient. Over doubling is not sufficient. So what? Tripling? We don't even know. Why don't we pay all our money, all your paycheck. You just get food rations from the government. It's okay. Democratic Party. At least you won't be saying anything offensive. So that's good. Democrats will make sure of that. Even some former officials deeply concerned. When I say you, I mean a person. Nobody in particular. Even some former officials deeply concerned by Trump's policies and behavior have been taking a step. Okay, retired John and his rhetoric has become an issue in and of itself. Retired Admiral Mike Mullen. Trump has put him in a political place which actually does more damage for the intelligence community. He's right. Brennan's actions have harmed the intelligence community, which prides itself on staying above the partisan fray. Right. That's why they're writing these letters. But revoking Brennan's security clearance has not hurt Brennan. Actually, it's really hurt Brennan. He even apologized. Even James Clapper's like, "Oh, he didn't mean to do it. Can we have a mulligan here? I didn't mean to do it. We're sorry that we didn't want to offend you, Mr. President. Let me go back and say that you are really great. And golly gee, I'm sorry. Sorry, too late, Brennan. Too late, Brennan. Dummy. Or Clapper, or whatever. But revoking, okay, so Trump has rescued Brennan from his own partisan hackery? No, he hasn't. He's actually clowned Brennan beyond belief. He's the head of the executive branch, Article 2 of the Constitution. He is in charge of enforcing laws pertaining to, especially pertaining to the executive branch. And given him a greater platform which to spew his bile. He's going to spew bile no matter what, Brennan. Indeed, the president admitted such in front, saying, if anything, I'm giving him a bigger voice. Yes, Mr. President, you are, and that is a big mistake. The author is, well-known writer, all that stuff, but guess what? At the end of the day, you go ahead. Here's another article on Fox News. Okay, so is that the same? It's the same article, yeah. So it's you're not. This is the problem. Spewing hag. This is the problem. And I like to say it this way: if John Brennan, James Clapper, Hillary Clinton, Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Christopher Steele, James Comey, Robert De Niro all hate a certain person, I love that person. Oh, and Bill Kristol and Max Boot. If you have all those people, if you have everyone from Max Boot to John Brennan to Robert De Niro to and I like De Niro as an actor, obviously, but it's to Don Lemon, to CNN, Anderson Cooper, you have all of these people who just hate Trump. You have to also wonder, why is it that they all how do you get Max Boot, who's a hardcore neoconservative, and Bill Kristol is a hardcore neoconservative? How are they agreeing with CNN and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and every elitist in Hollywood? How are they all agreeing on the same thing, that Trump is a madman? How is it that Bill Maher, who used to be like really, he used to be a real critical thinker. How is it that he is like, oh, I want a recession now? Like, what is it that Trump has done that's so horrendous? You have a good economy. You have peace, hopefully, between North and South Korea. You have all of these FBI. You have all of these FBI, corrupt FBI agents. Well, De Niro's a good actor. Now I can't stand his political views, but he's a good actor. Or he was a good actor. But it's like, how are they all, joining forces to hate Trump? It makes no sense. So it makes no sense. And my thing is that if you keep on, so he's going to revoke Clapper's security clearance because he has a list of people. So this is hilarious. Trump revoke list clearance. So then you have Rolling Stone. Why Trump is obsessed with revoking security clearances. Our large adult president has his hands on a new toy. Well, everything is like this whole big, let's make him into this giant baby, this giant, blabbering tyrant baby. Try to cut him down to size. Meanwhile, like missing the whole. Joseph Arbuckle makes it really rough, HA. Raging Bull's my fave. Yeah. I mean, you have Raging Bull, but you also have The Godfather. You have Casino. You have Goodfellas. It's sad. It's sad, but that's also something weird. When you're that angry at Trump, like there's like anger at Trump. Like what did he do aside from preside over a great economy? And like it makes no sense. He's actually cleaning up the FBI, cleaning up the intelligence community, all of these things. They don't want to be cleaned up. That's the thing. It's hard to tell when an action taken by President Trump or the White House is intended to distract from unfavorable news coverage. Well, that's difficult because there's unfavorable news coverage every second of the day. So literally every action he takes would be viewed as perhaps trying to distract. But it was pretty clear when Trump revoked the security clearances of Brennan last week. The announcement coming at the height of the former White House aide Omarosa. Yeah, has nothing to do with that. He has a list now. Okay, already done with that. 175 former U.S. officials add to list denouncing Trump. Yeah, who cares? You think the average American? Yeah, but then he said that I'm responding. Then he said, well, aren't we all descended from aliens? He didn't deny that. He didn't deny, like, I guess, his viewpoint, which is awesome. All right. So wait, Clarence. So here we go. Was it illegal for Trump to revoke security? Why would it be illegal? This all falls under the executive branch. He's the head of the executive branch. It's a basic understanding. First Amendment rights? Are you kidding me? When people get deplatformed, whether it's on YouTube or whatever, they're like, well, the platform doesn't have to. He can still say what he wants to say. The platform doesn't have to. Well, this isn't even like a platform. This is just somebody going on CNN saying crazy things like Brennan And he doesn't need a security clearance because if you have someone who hates Trump that much, they could possibly use a security clearance to hurt the country or hurt Trump. You already have, if Bill Maher had a security clearance and he says, oh, well, I'd rather have a recession, then theoretically he could use that clearance in a way that could hurt the country. Theoretically. You don't want to give people, first of all, you don't want to give former government employees access to the current government. That makes no sense just from the standpoint of espionage or preventing espionage. But where's the list? Hold on, there's Susan Rice on here, Sally Yates, James Clapper. After Brennan, 9 others face losing security clearances too. That's fantastic. So John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey, I mean, like Michael Hayden. Why should these people have Sally Yates? These people hate Trump. Susan Rice, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok. Let's hope Lisa Page, Bruce Orr. I mean, it's like, this is hilarious. These are all people who absolutely hate Trump with a passion. They absolutely hate Trump with a passion. So, yes. So here is let's watch the Paris Denard. It's so good. It's just like Louis Gohmert. Just like Louis Gohmert. All right, so here we go. 1.3 million views. It should have 10 million views. It's one of the best things I've ever heard in my life.
The consulting firms that they form and that you all get is because you get more money with having a consultant for having the security clearance. Stop acting like that doesn't happen.
So, David Kaplan, thank you so very much. David, Trump found a shiny new toy with revoking security clearance. I suspect he will be pulling the trigger all over the place. I hope that Trump just revokes all of them every single day. And then you have like a slow meltdown. No. And then Democrats will spend more time defending former CIA officials than focusing on immigration reform.
I have zero consulting relationships with the U.S. government. Zero. I'm not talking.
Well, that should tell you what the U.S. government thinks of you.
Phil, that's a good talking point. I'm not talking about relationship with the government. I'm talking about in the private sector. When you have a security clearance, I have zero relationships with the private sector.
I have zero relationships with the private sector, zero relationships with the government. You can tell what they think of me.
That involve my security clearance. Zero.
Well, maybe you should ask why. If you haven't monetized your security clearance, maybe you should look in the mirror.
Again, $0 from consulting companies that deal with the U.S. government.
That's also an irrelevant point because just because this guy doesn't mean Brennan and all the others don't. So Paris Denard is like destroying him on that point. So we're led to believe that because Philip Mudd doesn't, therefore all the hundreds of people with security clearances, oh my goodness, that they don't utilize those clearances to say, hey, it's just so ridiculous. And Paris Denard just completely obliterates him.
Are we clear?
Are we clear? Are we clear? Who are you to even ask, are we clear?
Well, I will be clear in saying that everybody in Washington, D.C. knows if you don't want to be honest about it, that's on you. But if you have a security clearance and you keep it, you get more money to have it.
We're done? Our relationship is over? What did I say? But what about that moonlit night in Paris? What about all those times, the precious times we spent together? We're done? This has been at least 30 seconds on CNN. We're done? Oh my God.
Get out.
Get out? These guys, they're not even in the same studio. Get out. You have 10 seconds to answer. Get out. What does that even mean? Get out? Oh my God.
He's not your show by saying right here. Don't be so defensive about this. Don't be so defensive about this. Your voice is still here.
Paris Denard. And look at the way, like, I love how, like, the social justice warriors are, like, nowhere to be found now. Philip Mudd's a white guy. Paris Denard is a black man. And this is obviously, there's no racism here. This is just a guy who's unhinged saying, get out to another man. So there is no racism. I admit that. Okay, there's no racism here. But the social justice warriors, if they could spin anything that actually helped their political viewpoint, this would be it. You have an older white guy telling a black man, get out. But you don't hear like MSNBC making this an issue because it helps Brennan, because it helps the Mueller, because it helps the Russia probe, because it helps Democrats, because it helps Hillary. So the duplicity is, if you said something on Twitter even halfway kind of offensive, your life would be over. And that's it. But this guy can go ahead and be completely overtly, borderline, almost like racist in a way. So how do you tell anyone to get out? Yeah, but you don't pay for the whole point. Oh, forget it. Okay, let's continue.
Here, you can still do whatever you want, but the politicalization of the intelligence community under this administration, with the people coming on here every day.
Paris Denard is 150,000 million% right. So he's gotten for child of Yah. CIA runs CNN. That's why he gets out. He said to get out. Pretty much child of Yah. Paris Denard is 100% right. So he's 100% right. And Mudd doesn't know what to do about it. He's just like, doesn't know what to do. He has no clue what to do. So
tweeting and talking about this administration, you all have made it about politics, not the president.
Let's take a beat here for a second. And Phil, I appreciate your patience because I know it's getting personal here.
I love this, like, getting personal. Like, the whole thing was about how Philip Mudd went on, sat on panels. Like, who cares? Who cares? There are people who have given their lives. There are people who have lost limbs. There are people who, and they don't tell others to get out. This guy's like, I sat on a panel. Yeah. Well, what's the problem? How hard is it to sit on a panel and drink coffee and talk about foreign policy?
Chris, I do a point of fact here.
All right.
A point of fact. Then it ends with this.
On the president treasonous because of the access that they have. The president is saying, you people that on this list should not have that security clearance. Why do we think that these people are the only ones that can provide this intelligence? This is a large intelligence community out there.
These are the directors and deputy directors from the last 25 years.
These are the deputy directors for the last 25 years. Yeah. So what? How have they done? Did they prevent any calamities? No. The intelligence community, a bunch of yes men and yes women. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's it. And they don't even like find intelligence. They only gather intelligence to justify policies that are already in effect or that are that administrations are planning to engage in. When you look at all three of them, the NSA, CIA, and FBI, even though you have, McCabe and Strzok and Comey, who have completely tarnished the FBI, of the three, the FBI probably does more for the country. The CIA, we don't know 80% of what it does. Yeah, it has spies abroad, fine, but we don't know what 80% of what it does. The NSA didn't even know that Hillary had a server in her basement, so how good could it be? Of course it knew, but whatever. The FBI, at least there's a most wanted list. At least you can kind of, there are corrupt FBI officials, but at least the FBI, there's like a tangible benefit. There's something tangible that you can kind of see. Okay, well, it is doing something. There's at least an FBI most wanted list, and cybercrime. Well, cybercrime. You have Clinton's. I'm talking about like within the United States, they go after major criminal organizations. You can at least see what they're doing, or there's like you could see the benefit. I say, but this is hilarious. Then Philip Mudd, who's like this amazing intelligence mind, then defends Clinton, who made a mockery of the intelligence agency by transferring top secret and special access program intelligence from SIPRNet, JWICs, and SCIFs onto a server that was once unencrypted for 5.5 months. She used an AT&T email account.
They're pretty well qualified.
No, they're not well qualified. Peter Strzok is on this list. He's fired. Andrew McCabe's on this list. He's fired. Lisa Page is being investigated. Bruce Orrs was demoted. James Comey was fired. Susan Rice unmasked names. So did Sally Yates. Michael Hayden is a hilarious egghead who's wrong on everything. James Clapper lied under oath. John Brennan lied under oath. These people should never even be near any classified intelligence.
The last 25
And there's a lot more people that were just under them that are equally as qualified and that can provide that same level of intelligence.
So,
the whole thing, like, oh, well, what if they need to speak to people? Then the rebuttal is, well, even with the security clearance, they can't just walk in. Well, Brennan could very likely walk in. Maybe others, but Brennan probably could. Clapper probably could.
hold on, I'm going to give you a quick final word.
May I say one more thing? Michael Flynn, the former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, got on the campaign trail and asked that a political opponent be locked up. Would a third world dictatorship get?
No, a third world dictatorship, Mr. Mudd, said that would say that Hillary Clinton committed all these crimes, like James Comey, top secret intelligence classifying data that was marked classified. She said she didn't even know what the C meant. She's either extremely stupid or corrupt, probably both, but she was lying. She had a server in her basement. She had servers in the State Department. 4 years of Pagliano's emails were missing. She transferred top secret intelligence from JWICs and other locations within the U.S. government onto a server outside the United States that even the NSA and President Obama didn't know of. That's why Michael Flynn said she deserved to go to jail. That's why, and she did, and everyone knows it. So the, oh my goodness, the dictator, that was a cover-up. That's what's called a cover-up. That's why when you defend the only person with enough guts to go up against Hillary Clinton was Michael Flynn. And of course, they went after him. They went after him. So.
Does. If the litmus test is whether someone in intelligence gets involved in politics.
That's not the litmus test. That's not the litmus test. The litmus test in this case is a whole bunch of corrupt people who fabricated a Trump-Russia scandal that never existed based on a Steele dossier that was purchased by Clinton who should have been indicted under U.S. Code 793F, the Espionage Act. She had the names of CIA agents on her once unencrypted computer outside the United States government. And this is the guy who goes to panels and, gives people advice.
Why did the president ask him to be national security advisor instead of suggesting that his security clearance be removed? I want to hear the answer to that.
And on that point,
because she committed crimes, and James Comey even stated she did, but she didn't do so intentionally. You're talking about a person who actually committed crimes. It's not a leap of logic to say she should have been indicted. She intentionally committed those crimes. And he knows that. This overt, transparent partisan game is ridiculous. Paris Denard is one of the heroes of recent politics. This CNN clip will live on forever. This rivals Louis Gohmert and Strzok. 1,378,000. It should be 10 million. Paris Denard is amazing. So, okay, let's just see really quickly. Oh, Joseph Arbuckle, says David Kaplan. Thank you, Joseph. So, and now they're like, oh, look, people have been indicted. Yeah. I love how people who have nothing to do with any crimes associated with Trump get indicted. Hillary Clinton will eventually get charged with a crime. That will happen. It's just a matter of old Sessions waiting to slowly do his job. He needs political will. He needs political momentum, ladies and gentlemen. We can't move the Sessions too quickly, lest he gets disoriented. The Keebler elf. So, let's see what else. CIA Director John Brennan lied. Did the Senate fire him? Of course. That was years back. Trump, and then they're going to lose in the midterms. And it's just going to be ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I will be back in a little while. Hopefully we'll do a little HA After Dark later on. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been awesome. Hit subscribe to my super chat. Thank you. And I will see you very soon. Thank you to my live chat. Thank you very much. Hit subscribe.